ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Once Human video. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are updating the Power Surge build. So if you're new here, this is your first time clicking on my video and you want to see the build. If you don't know how this weapon works, I have made a full in-depth video on how this weapon works. I will basically link the video in the description, or I will just leave it in the pinned comments if you're interested to see how the procs work and all the math behind it. But if you don't care about that, that's completely fine. We are currently in phase 3. It's ending in 8 hours. So this build is good for phase 3. And it's good for phase 2 as well. So since you unlock phase 3, you will get better substats on your mods. But this build also works for phase 2, because in phase 2, you'll be able to go to the end game locations, which are located in here. You just loot gear crates, weapon crates, and get these mods. So this build that we are using for the MP7 is PVE, because on this weapon, you can see that all the stats I have, it has damage against normal enemies. So take a look at this elemental damage we have damage against normal enemies, and we have status damage. This is the mods for the gun itself, and power surge status duration minus 50% and power surge damage plus 20%. As soon as I shoot the target, boom, we get that plus 20% instantly for that power surge damage. So that was 1631. If you used a different mod, which would be, let's just say shock rampage. All right, now the stats are not the same, but basically when I shot, I will have less damage, but my procs will be higher. So 1587. Now let's do and change it back to the one that I was using, and you can see that the damage is higher. Anyways, that is the mod you need to have for the gun. If you don't have the static shock, go with the shock rampage. For the sniper, I'm just using this just to mark enemies, just to mark bosses when I'm fighting. You don't need to use a sniper. You would rather be better if you used a crossbow, because the crossbow gives plus 30% crit when you shoot bosses and you mark them, and it will apply the bullseye effect, and you basically just do more damage to the boss, which is this. Plus 30% on targets with a bullseye status for 10 seconds. Effects only work once on the same target within 15 seconds. So you just take out your crossbow, you have to hit the mob in the head. The whole mob is gonna get marked blue, and then you're gonna get 30% crit for your weapon. Also, I don't know when I'm shooting the target, it's lagging for some reason. I think the servers are like crowded or something. The damage is very delayed. For you guys, it will not look like that, but for me on my screen, the damage is appearing like 1 second later. Anyways, next up, for the baton, I have movement speed calibration, so I can run faster. When I take my gun out like this, I'm just running faster. I can also even do the dashing thing. I just jump, dash, and I'm able to, you know, just speed hack around the map. That's not needed though. It's just a weapon for PvE. I like to bash enemies while I'm farming. For the goggles, we have the Deviations Expert, Elemental Damage, Status Damage. Status Damage and Elemental Damage is both the same thing, except Elemental Damage scales worse than Status Damage for certain things. Like if you're using the Corrosion Shotgun, Elemental Damage will be worse than Status Damage. So if you're using the Corrosion Power Surge Shotgun, just take Status Damage over Elemental Damage. Falcon Mask is just 4-star, and I have no other option to use. I could be using a heavy duty mask, because that will give me 8% elemental damage. However, I messed up my heavy duty parts armor and I cannot craft more, so I have only Falcon Mask for now, or the Scout Mask. By the way, this is for PvE. So for the mask mod, we have Elemental, and that's pretty much it. That's all we got for this. I would need to get status on it, and I would need to get damage to normal enemies, or just damage to elite or great ones, since if you PvE and you kill bosses or elites a lot, these damage bonuses are going to help you kill them faster. All you care about is just the elemental damage and status damage. For the gloves, we are using a elemental damage 18%, and then we have a element damage 3.2%. Honestly, this mod is not that great. I would need to get a better one, but the 10% substat kind of compensates for it, so I'm just sticking with it. I would love to get a better one that would give me damage to normal enemies, elemental damage, and status damage. Then my damage would improve by like a triple or something. By the way, if you have a mod that is status enhancement, which is this, it would be better than elemental damage, but only if you have the damage against normal enemies. This one, as you can see, doesn't have it, so I will be doing less damage to normal mobs. Although this one is 21.2% elemental damage total, while this one is 23 0.2%. Again, status damage and elemental damage is the same thing. It's just missing the damage to normal enemies. Also, if you're wondering what does the damage against normal enemies and elite and the great ones do, I've made a complete separate guide about that, explaining it in depth how it works. So if you want to check that out, check it out. I also explain what is Protocell, what is Rosetta, what is Deviant's damage bonuses on each guns, because guns have separate bonuses. So for this one, we're just using Elemental Overload just because of the normal enemies. For the shoes, we're using Covered Advance, and it has status damage and damage against normal enemies. For the shoes, really, you could use Covered Advance, and as you can see, I have this one as well. Elemental damage 6.4%, but we don't have normal enemies damage, so this is why I'm using this one, because that 8% normal damage increases the damage by a lot. It scales your status damage and everything else you do to mobs, so that's why I'm sticking with this. However, this Covered Advance is better for PvP, obviously, than this one, because damage against normal enemies doesn't work against other players, so this is why we use this. You could use a Covered Advance. You could also use a Ruthless Reaper, which if you kill 2 enemies, your bullets will be refilled by 100%, which means you never have to reload the gun. So if you get your MP7 like this, you can see I have magazine capacity plus 60%. That's a calibration. I've made a full video on how to get calibrations. Go check that out if you don't know. But basically, my gun has 72 magazine. And with this magazine, I just need to kill 2 enemies. So brr and brr. And then from that 59 bullets that I have right now, it will go back to 72. So if I had 10 bullets, it will go back to 72 if you're wearing this Ruthless Reaper. So this would work for PvE. However, for PvP, completely not. Obviously, we would need to get better substats because this one we have is completely garbanzo. Like, what is this? Could also use slow and steady, but for that, you need to basically have HP above 90%. So if you lose that 90% HP, you lose 10% damage or 10% weapon and status damage. And you can see it says damage plus 10%. It doesn't say status damage or weapon damage. It just say damage. In general, your wall damage is going to be 10% higher. So it just scales all your damage you're doing. But really, I'm just sticking with Covered Advance regardless. For the top piece, we're using a basic blue mod and crit damage. And the second substat for this could be damage to normal enemies as well. Doesn't really matter. This is for PvE as well, this mod, which I actually have another status enhancement mod on the piece, but you can see it's only 3% crit damage. And this one is 9%. You would want to get a blue mod that has a blue substat and a green substat, and when you get that mod, you just right click it and it's gonna upgrade it from green to blue, and you can have max blue tier rarity on the mod. But you can see that this mod right here is blue substat and it's a green substat, so if I upgraded this, it would be both blue. You cannot go higher than blue though. Like, if you have 2 blue already from a chest looted, you will not be able to upgrade it to purple because the whole mod itself is blue. The way you get these blue mods, by the way, you loot them from gear crates in locations like this. Iron River. This is Iron River, level 28 zone. If you hover your mouse on it, on the bottom right corner, you can see what zone it is. If you hover your mouse here, you can see it's level 21, which means if it's lower level, you will get worse mods. So if you loot crates in this area, level 21, your mods are going to be eh. But if you looted mods in level 28 zone right here, your mods are going to be okay, you know, they're just going to be better. The best location for looting blue mods would be just run gear crates over here, run gear crates here, run gear crates here, and you will get blue tier mods. Another way, if you're a beginner and you don't know how to get it, you just run Sigma Silo. By the way, I have a full mod sheet list in the description and in the pinned comments. Go check it out. It has every single piece of information on how to get every single modification in the game. Literally, go check it out. Don't ask questions where to get this mod. Just open the mod sheet like this, press Ctrl F, and all you need to do, status enhancement. You want to get this mod? Well, there it is. You see, there it is. You want to get this mod? You get it from Silo Sigma. It's a gold tier legendary. You can see that this is red dot over here and it's a blue dot. Red dot basically means it's obtained from hard, and blue dot means it's obtained from pro as well. But it's not obtained from normal mode because there's no black dot near it. I have also written a full explanation on what Silo monolith drops what and what this means. Basically, all you need to do is just read. And if you scroll down in the sheets over here, you can see that Silo Sigma, this is normal mode. It's obtained from looting gear crates, and it's obtained from doing Salo Sigma, normal difficulty. If you do hard or pro, you will not get these mods. And yeah, that's literally it. And of course, there's some mods missing, so if you find a mod that is missing, let me know. Next up, for the pants. Now this one, I actually don't know what to use for the pants, but we are using Deadshot, and the reason why I'm using Deadshot for this MP7 is because I cannot find what other mod to really use for this build. Now, this Deadshot has blaze damage, it has damage against gray ones, and damage against normal enemies, which is good. It has all that damage bonuses. Also have another Deadshot, just only damage bonus against normal enemies, but no status damage or elemental. Same with this one, crit damage, but no damage bonuses for normal enemies. So that's why I'm using this elemental damage one and the normal enemies one. There's one mod, however, that you could use, which is the Reload Rampage. And this mod, it's completely for PVE as well. You need to kill an enemy, and after you kill an enemy, you will refill your bullets. It says refill 2 bullets from reserves, no more than 50% of the magazine capacity. I'm a little bit confused how it works, but basically when you kill an enemy, I refill around 10 to 14 bullets. I am really not sure how this mod works, so if you guys know, let me know in the comments if this would be better, but I have tried it. The weapon damage and status damage plus 10% until next reload, it just doesn't seem to work because I'm reloading and I'm not getting the bonuses or damage bonuses. However, you could use this mod. Says it basically gives you damage boost, 4% elemental damage if you hit 10 weak spot hits. So let me equip it and just show it. Let me reload my gun like that. And if I shot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I reload the gun. On the bottom, look at this. A new buff appears, which is the elemental damage plus 4% up to 6 stacks. We have only 1 stack, so look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm gonna reload the gun again, and you can see there's only 1 stack of it. So if I shot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and reload, now we're gonna get 2 numbers. Okay, 3 numbers, I guess. Elemental damage plus 4% up to 6 stacks. So basically, I guess it's not 10 hits. I guess it's like 8 hits you have to do. So I think if you fired about 48 bullets or like 40 bullets, look at this. Then after the reload, I have 5 number. You can see on the left, look, there's a 5 number. Elemental damage plus 4% up to 6 stacks. So what this does is if you hit your weak spots on the bosses, you're gonna get a maximum increase of elemental damage up to 24%. Only if you hit all the weak spot hits, like 50 bullets or 40 bullets. So this is only good if you have magazine capacity. If you don't, then you would need to use a Deadshot mod, which in this case I'm using this. But this is also good because it boosts your status damage. It's good for bossing, only if the boss is able to be hit in the weak spots though. The status amplification also is good, but I'm sticking with Deadshot, man. And the reason why I'm sticking with Deadshot is because my gun has 2 crits. So I'm able to do, look at this. I'm able to do I have 22.2% to crit, and then by using Deadshot, I boost my crit damage, so it goes from 39 up to 84%. Now, for the gloves, I could be using crit amplifier, but I'm not, because Deadshot does that, so I'd rather have some crit and crit damage than nothing, so it boosts my damage a little bit. So basically, that's all the mods we're using. Deadshot talents, flame resonance, top, covered advanced shoes, elemental overload gloves, thunderclap mask, deviation expert goggles, and static shock outer space. Now let's talk about the Cradle. So I'm equipping everything, boom, 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 boom. SMG for 20% damage, sniper if you use it for damage increase, tactical items for increased damage up to plus 25% for 15 seconds. When you do bosses, you just take a dagger and throw it. And then you have an increased 25% damage for 15 seconds. You have to hit the dagger though. And these daggers are very, very easy to craft. It costs you scrap and logs to make. So you don't need to use grenades, you don't need to use molotovs, just use a dagger. Just hit your dagger though. And Deviation Master is when you just summon your deviant like this, you're just gonna do more damage, you know? Then we have the tactical combo, weapon damage plus 25% for 4 seconds after switching weapons or reloading. You need that. You also need the status enhancement after hitting weak spot. Status damage, 25% for 3 seconds. Then you need the first round blast after reloading, plus 25% power surge damage. And then lastly, you need after triggering a power surge damage, plus 25% for 3 seconds. All of these you need. Now, let me take this out. You also, if you use crossbow or if you use the bingo AWS to mark enemies, you need this. Because this one, it gives you weak spot damage plus 20% to the bullseye. Basically, if you marked the enemy with bullseye, plus 20% more damage to that marked enemy. And another thing is, you could replace the sniper here because, I mean, you don't really use sniper, use the SMG, right? So there's this bounty hunter. After defeating a unit you marked, weapon damage plus 25% and weak spot damage plus 35% lasting for 15 seconds. So yeah, I like to take sprint because I move faster, 5%, and it costs you 15% more stamina. And that is the Cradle buff, basically. Lastly, I want to explain what I changed for my armor. This is only for PvE though. Well, this is not my armor that I'm wearing. I just killed some random dude and he dropped me the shelter top. So thanks, I guess, for the content. Without this shelter piece, it wouldn't be possible. And normally I would use a agent top and it's starred 5 times. And again, the way I got this agent top, you can get up to 60 agent pieces on the map if you looted, you know, mystical crates. These red crates that you find in every single POI, like here. Look for mystical crate, it's 1 out of 1. Loot all of those. Then you press O. You go to blueprints and you learn only 1 piece that you really need and you just full in upgrade that. The other way to get additional pieces is go to wish machine, make a wish, go echoes from the rift, boom, and you will be getting blueprints from here. I'm not going to explain again how to get them from here because I explained it in my previous video, how to improve your damage and get higher DPS. I explain everything there, so just go watch that if you're interested. You would need to have a 3rd shelter top if you're doing PvE. Just 3 shelter pieces, which is 1, 2, 3, and that is enough for the MP7 because that will be giving you 28% damage increase. Now, however, I have a heavy duty shoes and I have a falcon mask. You want to replace that falcon mask, heavy duty mask or something, or just gloves. It doesn't matter, just as long as there's 2 heavy duty pieces and as long as there's 3 shelter pieces, you're gonna get that 36% elemental damage increase. So, you know, pretty juicy. I will be linking these videos in the description, so if you're interested on how to improve your DPS in general, on how to get more blueprints, or how the wish machine works, or in-depth MP7 power surge guide on how the math works behind it, just check these videos out in the description. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Join my Discord if you have any questions, always answering there. And we have a, you know, cool community, I would say. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care and peace out.